Come on in. Welcome to my room today, my office here. I wanted to kind of make light of this day. Just down the street from me is where we have Great America. That's our amusement park that unfortunately during COVID was sold right out from under us. However, sharing a parking lot is the Levi Stadium. And today, all eyes are on that stadium as the Super Big Bowl. I hope I can say it that way because I don't think I can put the two words together, are rolling out. So I wanted to talk a little bit about why I'm skipping that, all festivities around it, and also foregoing I don't even know if we're able to say Olympics at this point, and that's exactly why I'm skipping it. So I wanted to take a look as I take the spit on everything, a technology perspective here, the spectacle, and really let's what it is. It's a money machine. Let's see how much more change you have in your pocket and make you file for a loan. It's just unfathomable where we're at today. I often think what it would have been like to be in one of the big coliseums, watching them fight, often to passing. But then again, I think no, that's not my personality either. I don't like the roughness of the football. I used to go for the entertainment, but that's also manipulated now. And the food is overpriced. The crowds are crazy. And who wants to be in crowds when we're having such craziness in society? So, what I wanted to do was just really come from a personal stance here for today because, quite honestly, it's 3 o'clock. It's beautiful weather outside. And if you're listening to me, you're not going to the game. So, once again, I live near Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. Last night, there were wild parties all over the city because, as Mayor Mahan stated, the last time the super big bowl event was here, if we can say that, San Jose missed out or Santa Clara missed out because all the festivities were in San Francisco. They planned for these events. In fact, NBC 11 last night was doing live shows once again from the various restaurants and bars and Moscone Center and all the huge events going on in San Francisco, which is more than an hour away from the stadium. This year, I think they did a better job in San Jose. However, I, as a local, knew the game was coming. I didn't know anything about the downtown activities we were having. I suppose I could have assumed it, but I've got dollars in my pocket. It might have been fun to go down and have a little fun, but none of the headlines even were interesting. And watching the crowds and the drinking and the wildness, I think that's just my age at this point. And you might laugh at me. You might be laughing with me. I don't know. But I wanted to say this week, tens of thousands will flood drunk, loud, excited, and ready for the big game. Tickets have been trading at insane resale prices, thousands of dollars. And I don't mean just thousands. If you looked up two weeks ago how much it cost just for the most entry level ticket to get you into the stadium, 6,500 was the least that people were able to find. They went down. I last saw them at around $4,000, and tomorrow they'll be worth zero. So if they weren't sold at that, the ticket is gone. But really, is that necessary? Because you have to think, just like going to Disneyland, if it's, let's say, a $200 or $300 ticket, let's just say $200 to Disneyland. I have no clue what it is right now. You don't go by yourself. You go with usually a family of four. So multiply that out. If you're going to a super big game or an Olympic event, you're going to want to go with your family or friends and have fun. It's just not feasible anymore. If you just take the simple 4,000 and multiply by 4, who has $14,000 to spend on tickets, plus food, plus lodging, plus transportation, plus everything else that is overpriced? But it's okay. They were selling a sandwich that would feed four for $130, and it still had a bone sticking out of it. Well, some like that. I do miss those days, though, of just going out with the family and having fun at a basketball or baseball or football game. And that's something that my son has had to just kind of enjoy as I find the Earthquake soccer tickets. We love going. They're energized. It's fun, but it's so limited. So again, tickets have been trading at insane resale prices. And on TV, we're seeing news coverage. It's quite limited. Even the media is staying from a box behind the scenes or outside the crowds. But meanwhile, halfway around the world, the Olympics opening ceremony unfolded this week with symbolism, spectacle, and massive broadcast production. I'm not watching that one either. I'm tired. I'm disgusted by the way they manipulate us. I saw after reviews of it that had red coloring and a big pentagon in the middle of, I think that was the Arc du Triomphe. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that correctly. Not necessary. Now, it's not even a point. I heard, years ago, people talking about conspiracy theories of what, no, they know what they're doing. They're proud of it. And this is part of the manipulation. I just don't want to even be involved in their games. So it's not because I hate sports. I love a good game, competition, being in the stands with other people, laughing and joking. I really miss those friendships. But because both feel less like games and more like systems engineers for extraction and control. So the reality of the more modern sporting events, the Super Big Bowl, and I'm hoping we're able to say the O word, I don't know at this point, aren't just competitions anymore. They are global scale technological and economic machines, so fine tuned that they hope that you see it, but you don't even care anymore. Each supported by cutting edge systems. And the reality is, most people never notice. This particular big bowl, it's the LX, and I look up what that meant. I should know my Roman numerals. If you want to comment, I'd appreciate it. But tonight's game, the Seahawks versus the Patriots. I told my son to run down the hall and get his Seahawks jersey so that as he goes out with his friends to watch the game, he could wear it. It was this little tiny shirt. I guess it has been 6 or 7 years since he wore it, but we had a laughing moment. So the Seahawks versus the Patriots, they're being broadcast across NBC and Peacock, streaming live in 4K HDR, tethered to massive data infrastructure and marketing revenue streams. And the winter games simultaneously broadcast for 17 hours straight of 4K HDR coverage, blending both global sports spectacles into a single day of intense technical delivery. They're going all out. They need to get eyes on the screen, and they're pulling no stops. We're living through an era of air sports production at the highest level. The first tech peak, broadcast megastructures. So let's start with broadcast, the engine room of every major event. If we look at trucks and stadium racks and camera rigs, what about the big bowl broadcast technology? Sony camera wall, more than 175 Sony cameras deployed on and around the field for this particular event. High frame rate cameras for slow motion, specialized cinema cameras capturing halftime like a film set. Remember when you used to see the race horses go around and they put the cameras on the rails and they chase them around? Obviously, we see this as it's chasing the ball and the players. But it wasn't that long ago that I remember there was information about betting, and I thought it was basketball. Well, we know it's not just in that field. We know it's 100% on this side as well because we learned about Inflategate. But people still go for the games. Virtual measurement and player tracking, AI. Hawkeye Innovations with SKELE track are tracking 29 points on each player. It's really fascinating if you want to look up their technology. Again, it's SKELE track, fully integrated with 3D ball tracking. Real-time AI analytics, on-the-fly data streamed back into the director's feeds to craft visuals and graphics As you're using AI more and more, something that isn't even as robust as a notebook LM. Today, as I was going over a university assignment for someone, as I was typing, it was creating the media on the right-hand side live in real time, generating it on its own. And now there's images from the playoffs that they're taking live and analyzing live and posting out there. This year is going to be one of the most dynamic events if you're into data. The Olympics broadcast tech, the Winter Olympics use drones that follow athletes up close at high speeds, speeds that redefine what you see in live sporting broadcast. It's almost like you're really there, especially in front of your own 86-inch TV or larger. AI replay and 260-degree capture. Multiple cameras stitched with AI to produce interactive replay moments. The broadcast is not passive. It's absolutely engineered. Infrastructure underneath the venue. There's the show that you see and the infrastructure that you never see. Stadium network backbone. Levi Stadium poured in miles of fiber optic cable, nearly 1,500 Wi-Fi 7 access points, and a dedicated data center to absorb tens of terabytes of fan data. This last week, I've been talking quite a bit about geofencing. There you go. That's not a network. That's a data capture system. And why? Social media uploads, real-time analytics, in-stadium apps, targeted ads. Often when you're in a crowd that large, your phone doesn't work. It's necessary that the phone be able to communicate and get the energy up so that people are still spending money. Every smartphone becomes a sensor, and I believe it's two-way. Security and cyber risk. This is something that no matter what you do to plan, on the cyber side, you have to be right 100% of the time. A bad actor only needs to be in less than 1% of the time, one small hit and they're in. So security and cyber risk is massive. Big events attract big attention, not just from fans, but from hackers. And particularly this year, they had sniffing elements around, both in the air and on the ground, to make sure that there wouldn't be anything of an explosive nature. What is the cyber threat reality? AI-driven reconnaissance and phishing attacks ramp up around major events. Stadium cyber command centers go live. The super big game built dedicated cybersecurity operations actually inside the Levi Stadium. In fact, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, it may have been longer now, I was in a series of cybersecurity meetings inside the stadium as they were prepping just for the future of events that they would be holding on massive scales. You can just imagine now that would be beyond 10x what it was 5 years ago. But this isn't even optional anymore. It's a safety requirement. It's insurance against the most extreme digital attacks. Remember, it wasn't that long ago that we witnessed the explode device kind of thing, right? Over in the Middle East. A particular government touted that they had done that. Look at all the individuals walking in and around and inside the stadium. It's a security nightmare. Security technology has become as critical as cameras and lights. And something else that isn't mentioned here that I had asked to look into was traffic lights. And by that, I mean the moving of people for an economic purpose, really against their will, and then they're paid by the hour. This is huge. It's just the same as the largest pizza order day. You get this around football events. Statistics also show that the #1 day for calls for domestic violence is around this day. So there's a lot that comes together. As emotions fly, testosterone gets bumped, people win or lose, they're adding in alcohol and sometimes more. There's the human component that a lot of people often just don't think about. And yet we have been in this neighborhood warned for many months to keep our eyes open for that and vigilant. But we were not invited to the parties downtown. So if I move on to crowd analytics and safety, crowd control used to be traffic cops and barriers. You put up cement blocks or barricades, and we've seen a lot of weirdness around there where they hadn't put it down or they put it down off to the side and cars drive around it. But you could stand there as a human being, human to human. We're so far beyond that now. We have 3D LiDAR sensors monitor density and movement, real-time crowd heat maps, predictive models that warn of bottlenecks, the traffic control, the people walking during an intermission, who's getting heated, who had too much to drink, who's pushing and shoving. They need to stop it before it happens. The stadium isn't reacting to crowds, it's actually simulating them. Safety technology is functional, but it also turns humans into nodes in a system. What about artificial intelligence, ads, and commercialization? This super big game is framed as artificial intelligence breakout cultural moment, not just for coaches and analytics, but for the ads themselves. According to MarketWatch, there's huge studies on analytics that have been applied to this. I would suggest you take a peek at the MarketWatch article if you're interested in that. But advertising becomes artificial intelligent content. In fact, just over the last week, the amount of advertisements that I am seeing that are produced by AI is almost outpacing anything that is just human movies cut into an ad. In fact, there's circulating right now an MTG speech, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she's explaining some decisions and talking about the MAGA movement. It's 100% AI. It's not her at all. And yet the way that you can still tell with AI is the movement of the hands. They go back and forth. It's an on movement of the technology. And when you see that same simulation over and over again, that doesn't necessarily match the words, but is consistent throughout the piece, you start to recognize that, wait a minute, that's not a true individual. So advertising becomes AI content, AI generated commercials, real-time marketing campaigns, and on-the-fly audience optimization. The Super Bowl isn't just about games anymore. It's a consumer behavioral lab. Let me say that one again. The game isn't just a game anymore. It's just not fun. Who's going to be the best in the moment? It's a consumer behavioral lab. The surveillance moment. So let's talk a moment about the psychology of all of this. You know, when I studied psychology of theater, and this I'm just kind of impromptu talking here, which I am not good at. I wasn't good at psychology or theater. And I have a minor in gospel choir, which is a whole nother direction. I just went for the fun and ended up with a minor. But there's an individual who optimized what it really meant to be immersed in a theatrical performance. And he would manipulate the entire theater architecture so that every seat was perfect, so that the wind or the light or the movement or the shadows would all become part of the play or the performance. Every stitch of a costume, the way that the sound could echo, every one of the senses was employed in his art. I want to say it was Bennett. And again, if somebody wants to add that in there, I'd like to look that up again. I was really fascinated at the time. And so when we look at the psychology of all of this, we know that it's all being manipulated. Individuals paid a baseline of $4,000, maybe $6,000 to get in the door. Suite costs were much more than that. I didn't see the price. Somebody said 30,000. That's got to be for a higher end seat. That's certainly not a suite that would probably go for $500,000, million and up. But people are brought together as a revenue source. This wasn't a nonprofit event by any means. So you're tracked when you enter the stadium, moving through the concessions, posting online, scanning tickets, using apps, watching through stream platforms. Every aspect of this is monitored for optimization, not only in real time, but also for next time. Each of these points feeds a behavioral data set, and every event is no longer just watched. It's measured, modeled, and monetized. This is why, even though there's so much shock regarding TPUSA, the geofencing, and their big TPUSA event, it isn't really that much of a surprise anymore. I wish I had my glasses on to read this note here. Excellent. I'll go ahead and respond to that. And next time I'll bring my glasses in here, but thank you for posting. I really appreciate that. So every event is really being measured, modeled, and monetized. So why does it feel empty? It should make us feel warm and loved and excited and energized and happy and jubilous and ready to just spend for that next drink or participate in another game and just get out there with more and more friends. But really, it does feel empty. So why don't I watch? Well, it's not that these events aren't spectacular. They certainly are. It's that the spectacle isn't accidental. It's strategic. It's not joy. It's engineering. Fun becomes frictionless. Emotion becomes engagement metrics. Participation becomes data capture. That's why something once joyful actually feels hollow. So I'm going to do another live as soon as we shut this one today. And so we're going to hop on to that. But I wanted to just kind of close this for a moment as well. This super big game and the Olympics that's happening overseas right now are absolutely incredible achievements for the human coordination and technology. 100% of the individuals that have been honored to participate, I think, are being shortchanged. This is a lifetime of training, body, mind, and spirit, nutrition. And yet, it's not really even about them anymore. The big parades, the celebration of human life, spending a few bucks to sit and watch somebody, it's all taken aside. So these achievements of human coordination and technology are gone. But they're also massive economic systems, data ecosystems, narrative engines, marketing engines. And once you see the machinery, you know, it's really hard to look at the game the same way again. Okay, so this was why I'm not at the Super Bowl. I said it again. Anyways, have a great afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and close this stream, try to respond to the comment I have here, and thank you for doing that. And I'm going to hop on another live in about 5 minutes. We'll be right back here. Oh, there go the big jets over the game right now. I don't know if you can probably hear them over me, but there's the flyby. I'll talk to you all later. Have a great day.